Living is easier without love. But without it, there is no meaning. They were in the same class. Paul was a slim, bespectacled student, an excellent student. He didn't misbehave and didn't skip classes. Jennifer didn't pay attention to him like the other girls. Maybe it was the warm sunny May, or maybe their time had come, but during a physics class, their eyes met, and Jennifer's heart fluttered like a bird caught in her chest. Throughout the lesson, she was afraid to look at him and desperately wanted to make sure he was really looking, waiting for her return glance. The bell rang. Everyone started moving, making noise, gathering notebooks and textbooks, and Jennifer turned her head. Paul burned her with his gaze again. Her heart fluttered like a butterfly caught in a net. Until the end of the class, she was distracted and pensive. Paul caught up with her on the way home. Jennifer couldn't remember what they talked about. Then, they sat together in the dark theater, and it seemed to her that their hearts were beating in unison. And if not for the loud music of the movie, the whole theater would have heard it. He held her hand for the first time, and a shiver ran through her body. Everything in that May was for the first time. First dates, first shy kisses to exhaustion, first confessions. The beginning of the final exam slightly cooled their hot heads. They agreed to study together at the university in their hometown, even though they would be in different faculties. His mom is a doctor at the clinic. His dad is an engineer. Yes, just a regular intellectual family. But what's so good about it? Both have small salaries. They save up for a whole year just to go on a trip. All major purchases are made on credit. Thanks, but I've lived that life myself. I don't want Jennifer to have that, complained Jennifer's mom on the phone to her only friend, who lived in Washington. The friend agreed, suggesting sending Jennifer to study with her in Washington. There's plenty of space, don't worry. The social circle here is different. And send her to me as soon as possible before it's too late for them. You know how quickly everything happens for them now. If she gets stuck in this love, God forbid, she might get pregnant. Jennifer's mom bit the bullet and went on the offensive. When Jennifer came home after a date with Paul, she initiated a direct conversation. I understand, love and all that. But think, why do you need him? You're beautiful, you deserve better. What kind of life awaits you with him? First a rented apartment, then you'll buy your own and spend 30 years paying off the mortgage, living from paycheck to paycheck. Then children will come, sleepless nights. You'll send the child to daycare to get to work early. Quarrels over money will eventually kill love completely. This is not the life I dreamed for you. Mom, we're not planning to get married. Why are you starting this? We still need to finish our studies, Jennifer answered, embarrassed, but the bleak future vividly described by her mother made a depressing impression on her. That's what I'm talking about, education. Elizabeth, my friend, suggested you go to Washington to study and live with her. What's there to do in our town? What future awaits you here? There are more opportunities there. I've already bought train tickets for tomorrow. So pack your things. But what about? Jennifer didn't dare to say Paul's name. I understand everything. I was young once too. Love is tested by time and distance. You'll come back for holidays. I want the best for you. 2 years later, she married Joseph. Her parents bought them an apartment as a wedding gift. A happy mother rejoiced that she had arranged her daughter's life perfectly. Jennifer's life was smooth and peaceful. Everyone around thought she had been handed a lucky ticket in the form of a good husband, a loving father to their daughter, a job with a decent salary, a big apartment, a country house, a car. For a while, Jennifer thought so too. Life in peace and harmony, without problems or upheavals. What could be better? But if she were honest, Jennifer increasingly remembered that spring in their final year of school, passionate glances in class, hot furtive kisses stolen from each other, which made her head spin and her legs weak. The cool rainy April gave way to warm May. The sun was shining. Birds were singing outside the office windows. The young leaves added festive colors to the cityscape. Suddenly, Jennifer desperately wanted to go outside, to bask in the rays of the spring sun. During lunch break, she went for a walk, then popped into a half-empty cafe to have coffee. At the next table sat a young man. Their eyes accidentally met, and Jennifer felt a familiar excitement and flutter. She recognized Paul, now grown up and mature. He moved to her table, told her that he had recently moved here after divorcing his wife. The lunch break had long ended, but they kept talking, unable to stop, forgetting about time, without awkwardness or restraint. When saying goodbye, they agreed to meet at the same place the next day. The next day, Jennifer counted the minutes until the break, and although it was drizzling, she dashed into the cafe. Paul was already impatiently waiting for her at the same table. Again, their hearts joyfully beat in unison, like in that school May. Again, sparks flew between them at accidental touches of hands and knees. Love captured them both. Not the timid school love, but an adult, strong one, sweeping everything in its path, justifying and conquering everything. They plunged into it, like thirsty travelers in the desert rushing to the well. Her husband, her daughter, everything was pushed to the background. They met in fragments, not wasting a second on conversations and reminiscences, on clarifying their relationship, on which of them became the cause of the prolonged separation and the failed love. Jennifer felt guilty, but she couldn't imagine her life without Paul, without his love. She woke up in the middle of the night in fear that it was just a dream, that there was no Paul, only a dull, bland life with Joseph. Jennifer lost weight, her eyes sparkled, a wandering smile played on her lips. Her mother-in-law once directly asked if she had fallen in love. Such a drastic change had occurred with the daughter-in-law. Jennifer hid her happy eyes. "Just don't ruin the family," her mother-in-law said, sighing. Her mother called, shouting into the phone that Jennifer had gone crazy. "Do you want to ruin everything? Throw your life away for a fleeting feeling? Lose everything that was created with such effort? And for whom? Come to your senses before it's too late, Jennifer." Jennifer thought a lot in those days, lying sleepless next to her sleeping husband and staring at the ceiling. She desperately missed Paul, suffocating from her love for him, biting her lips until they bled to suppress the anguish and hopelessness. They no longer met in cafes. Paul rented an apartment near her office to save time on commuting. As soon as they entered the apartment, he enveloped her in his arms and didn't let her go for a second, making up for lost time, which they had deprived themselves of. Then they put on masks of composure, reluctantly let go of each other's hands, and went their separate ways until their next meeting. Again, everything was for the first time, like in that school May. After all, with others, they didn't experience anything similar. Jennifer looked more beautiful and radiated happiness, that stunning energy that only loving and loved women possess. Men at work and on the street admired her with fascinated looks. One day, Jennifer was walking home slowly and saw a young woman crying bitterly on a bench. "Are you in trouble? Has someone died?" Jennifer asked, sitting down next to her. The woman nodded and briefly told her story, so similar to Jennifer's. Her parents separated her from her first love. They took her far away for many years. They accidentally met again 2 years ago. Both were firmly married. Both had children. But they couldn't overcome the love that had resurfaced with renewed strength. And they couldn't explain it to their spouses, fearing to hurt their children. We were supposed to meet today, but he died yesterday. A peaceful death. He came home from work, lay down to rest, and never woke up. If only I had known that we had so little time to be together, I wouldn't have wasted a single moment. I would have dropped everything and been by his side every precious moment. But we were afraid of something, hesitating. Jennifer walked home and thought that she couldn't live without Paul either, but for some reason, she didn't leave the dull, gray life with Joseph. What if she also regretted her indecision? How much time was given to them? Who knows? She even stopped out of fear that it could really happen. Yes, she needed to tell everything to her husband and let the chips fall where they may. It's more honest than deceiving him every day. She quickened her pace and unexpectedly saw her husband's car on the sidewalk. Jennifer was surprised. Why is it here? He works in a completely different part of the city. She approached the car and glanced through the side window. In the back seat, her husband was kissing a young woman. They didn't notice Jennifer. When her husband came home in a cheerful mood, Jennifer told him that she saw everything. Her husband didn't deny or justify himself. He said he had been in love with her before Jennifer came into his life. Her parents didn't like her. They insisted he marry Jennifer. 3 years ago, they accidentally met and became lovers. 3 years? Why didn't you leave her then? Jennifer asked calmly. She now understood the reason for her husband's coldness and indifference towards her. I don't know. I was afraid for you, for our daughter. Do you love her? So why are you hesitating? Stop torturing yourself and living a fabricated life. What about our daughter? She's already grown up. She's 13. Let her decide for herself who she wants to stay with, Jennifer said. Just like that? Yes. We don't owe anything to each other. We only owe ourselves to live with the one we love. Jennifer ran to Paul for the first time, without hiding, without fear of judgment, only fearing not to make it in time. You? He exclaimed, opening the door. Me. Forever. And our daughter decided to live with me. That's good. I'll look for another apartment tomorrow, a bigger one. A rented one? Jennifer asked, laughing. No, I'll buy one. I have the money, I just didn't need it alone. That's the story. But why ruin a good family? Someone might say. But is it really a good one? If there's no love, it's not a family, it's just cohabitation. Sooner or later, love will catch up with you anyway. And what's next? It all depends on them. Neither time nor distance affected Paul and Jennifer's feelings. They only made them sharper. They are destined to be together. Doomed to love. It happens. Living without love, following external conditions, and fearing judgment, or loving and being loved despite everything, everyone decides for themselves.